Okay, so somewhere inside your CPF account right now, there's a transfer you can make in about 30 seconds. Tap, confirm, done. The problem is you can never undo it. Not next year. Not when your plans change. Not when the flat you've been eyeing finally comes up. Not when your child suddenly needs a hand with a BTO. Once that money moves across for that shiny, guaranteed 4%, it's out of your reach until you turn 55. And here's the part almost nobody tells you. For a lot of people watching this, even 55 isn't true anymore. So before your thumb goes anywhere near that button, let me ask you one honest question. Is 4% really worth what you're locking away? Because at your age, the answer might not be the one all the finance gurus are so happily selling you. For some of you, this so-called smart money move is quietly a trap. And look, I'm not here to laugh at anyone who's felt the pull. I've sat there staring at that 4% myself thinking, wow, guaranteed, risk-free, so why am I even hesitating? It's a beautiful number. When your stocks are wobbling and your SRS is doing whatever it's doing this month, a safe 4% feels like the one proper grown-up decision you can make all year. I understand it completely. I'm Tracy. On this channel, we just sit down and do the honest math together, the stuff school in Singapore somehow never got around to teaching us. So here's my promise for the next 20 minutes. No scare tactics, no hype, no you must do this now. By the end, you'll be able to place yourself on one simple timeline. Your age, your plans, which side of 55 you sit on, and you'll know, for you specifically, whether that button is a genuinely smart move or a very expensive mistake. Because that's the strange thing about this one. The exact same button is honestly brilliant for one person and quietly damaging for the person sitting right beside them at the Kopitiam. Same 4%. Completely different answer. So let's go and figure out which one is you. Okay, so let's be fair to the 4% for a moment because it deserves it. On paper, moving your CPF ordinary account into your special account looks like the most obvious, sensible thing in the world. Your OA sits there earning 2.5%. Your SA earns 4%. That's a gap of 1.5%, guaranteed, backed by the government, no ups and downs, no watching a screen and feeling your stomach drop. For a 50-year-old who has been burned by the market before, that word guaranteed is honestly like a warm cup of coffee on a rainy day. And here's the thing I want you to notice. It's not really the number that gets people. 4% by itself is nice, but it's not thrilling. What actually seduces you is that one magic word, guaranteed. Because most of us, by our 40s and 50s, we've had our little adventures already. When I was younger, I definitely bought individual stocks, felt very clever, and then kept losing money. So I know exactly why a locked, safe, permanent 4% feels like the responsible adult choice. It's the account that finally lets you stop worrying. Now here's the thing. Those three qualities, locked, safe, permanent, are the exact reasons people fall in love with the move. But look closely, because those are also the exact reasons it can bite you later. Locked means you can't get it back. Safe means it stops working the moment you actually need flexibility. And permanent means a decision you make in about 30 seconds today can quietly follow you around for the next 20 years. The very things that make it feel comforting are the same things that make it irreversible. And this is where I need to warn you about something. A lot of people transfer that money chasing the feeling and only discover the trapdoor much, much later. Because there is a trapdoor here. There's a specific thing about this move that most people have never even heard of, and the ones who found out the hard way. I'll tell you exactly what it is in a second, but I'll say this first. It isn't some rare edge case or small print. It's a rule that already quietly changed. A rule that overnight made 4% forever completely false for more than 1 million Singaporeans. Let me show you the number. Okay, so here's the trapdoor, and I need you to sit with this one because it changes everything. On the 19th of January 2025, a rule quietly came into effect. From that day, the moment you turn 55, your special account doesn't just get restricted, it closes, gone, it disappears. What happens is, your SA savings get moved into your retirement account up to the full retirement sum, and anything above that spills back into your ordinary account earning 2.5% again. The same 2.5 you were so desperate to escape. So let that land for a second. The whole promise was transfer to SA and enjoy 4% forever. And for a huge slice of the people watching this, that sentence is already false. Not might change one day, already false. On the day the rule kicked in, around 1.4 million special accounts belonging to members age 55 and above were closed in one stroke. So the famous SA shielding strategy, the clever little move where people stuffed their SA full right before 55 to keep earning 4%, that's dead. Permanently. I read about one writer who had shielded over $300,000 using exactly that trick. And now that door is bolted shut for good, and here's what really gets me. Go and search, "Should I move OA to SA" on YouTube right now, and you'll find dozens of confident videos telling you to do it. Beautiful graphics, sure numbers. The thing is, a lot of them were filmed before 2025 and never updated. They're telling you about a 4% that, for many of you, will end the moment you hit 55. So, please, be a little suspicious of that old advice. Now, if you're under 55, don't switch off. Because the reward genuinely does still exist for you, for a few more years at least. But that raises the real question, doesn't it? If the 4% only runs until 55, and you're already sitting in your 50s, how big is that reward, honestly? So let me do something those old videos never bothered to do. Let me actually run the numbers for a 50-year-old. Because that famous huge gap everyone quotes, it was never calculated for someone your age. And when you see it, you're going to be surprised. All right, let's actually do the math. Not the guru math, the real one, for someone in their 50s. Here's where those exciting videos quietly cheat. When they show you the, wow, look at the huge difference number, look carefully at the age in their example. It's almost always someone in their 20s or 30s. And that matters enormously because the 4% isn't the hero of this story. Compounding is. And compounding doesn't reward the interest rate. It rewards time, decades, not years. Let me show you what I mean. Take $10,000, move it to your SA at age 30, and by 55, at 4%, it grows to roughly $26,700. Leave that same $10,000 in your OA at 2.5%, and you get about $18,500. So the gap is around $8,000. Okay, now that's a real number. That's worth talking about. 25 years of compounding did that. Now watch what happens when I change one thing. The age, same $10,000, but now you're 50 and you've only got about 5 years until your SA closes at 55. 4% versus 2.5% over 5 years, you end up with a difference of a few $100s. That's it. So let me put those two side by side out loud because I want you to really feel it. 25 years buys you $8,000. 5 years buys you a nice dinner. Maybe 2 if you skip the wine. That's the life-changing 4%, once you're standing where you're actually standing. Even Endowus has quietly pointed out that a transfer made close to 55 may not make any real difference before the account closes anyway. And I'm not telling you this to be dramatic. I'm telling you because the whole conversation has been pointed at the wrong thing this entire time. We've all been staring at that 1.5% like it's the prize. But if the reward is really just a nice dinner, then the question completely flips. The real question isn't, how much do I gain? It's, what am I giving up to get it? Because here's the twist I didn't see coming when I first looked into this. The thing you surrender isn't interest at all. It's options. And one of those options is worth more than every single dollar of that 1.5%. Let me show you. Okay. So here's the part that flips everything on its head. We've all been trained to think of the OA as the lazy, boring, low-interest account, and the SA as a smart, high-interest one. But for someone between 40 and 60, I want to argue it's completely the other way around. Think of it like this. Your SA is a fixed deposit you can never break. Locked to retirement, does one job, no flexibility. Your OA is the Swiss Army knife, and you're about to throw away the Swiss Army knife to keep a locked drawer. Let me show you what that OA can actually do that the SA can't. 1, It services your HDB loan. And here's a lovely little detail. The HDB concessionary loan charges around 2.6%, while your OA earns 2.5%. So paying your home loan out of your OA costs you almost nothing. The gap is 0.1%. That's not a cost, that's a rounding error. 2, your OA can be invested through CPF OA if you ever want to. 3, your OA is withdrawable from 55. The SA on all 3 of these, locked, locked, and locked. So when you transfer OA into SA, you're not really upgrading your interest rate. You're paying 1.5%, a few $100s, as we just saw, to permanently give up your flexibility. That's the actual trade. And here's the confess first part. I get why people do it anyway, because flexibility is invisible. You can't feel it until the day you need it, and it's gone. And this is exactly where the younger folks get caught too. I've watched people in their 30s transfer aggressively to SA, feeling very disciplined, very responsible, and then a BTO comes up and suddenly they need that OA and it's stuck. Same trap door, just a different age at the door. The 40 and 50 somethings eyeing a condo upgrade? Same trap, bigger numbers. So now we've established it. The OA isn't the weak account, it's the flexible one, and flexibility is the whole game. But there's one place where losing that flexibility doesn't just cost you a little, it squeezes you from 2 directions at the same time. And it's the one thing almost everyone in this audience owns, their home. There's a trap sitting inside your property that nobody ever connects to this decision. Let me show you how CPF and your house quietly gang up on you. Okay, this is the one that most people never see coming because nobody puts these 2 things in the same conversation. Everyone talks about CPF over here and property over there like they live in separate rooms. They don't. They're in the same room and they're squeezing you from both sides. Here's the first squeeze. You move your OA into SA, feels responsible, but you've just shrunk the buffer that quietly services your mortgage every month and cushions you if you ever want to move house. That money is now locked to retirement, no longer available for the very thing most of you will actually do in your 50s, which is sell one property and buy another. Now here's the second squeeze, and this is the part that really stings. Every single dollar of OA you've ever used to pay for your home has to be refunded back into your CPF when you sell, with 2.5% accrued interest compounded the whole time. This is CPF accrued interest, and let me say it plainly. It's the amount CPF quietly adds up in the background, growing at 2.5% a year that you owe back to yourself on the day you sell. So look at what happens to the upgrader. Less OA sitting available because you locked it into SA, and a growing accrued interest bill waiting for you at the closing table. Hit from both ends. Let me make it a real figure. There's a worked example I came across. Call them the Chua family. They sell their place for $1.82 million. Sounds fantastic, right? But because all that OA they used on the home has to go back into CPF with accrued interest of that sale, only around $692,700 comes back to them inside CPF versus around $705,600 in actual cash. The accrued interest quietly reclaims a big chunk. And remember, the transfer into SA is capped at the full retirement sum, which for 2026 is $220,400. And it's permanent, no takebacks. So now you feel the full weight of that word, irreversible. It's not just locking away money. It's locking away the flexibility your own home is going to demand from you. And after all of this, every number, every trap, there's really only one thing left to figure out. Does this move ever actually make sense? And for whom? Because the answer to every question we've asked comes down to one single word, and it's not the interest rate. Better still, that one word splits everyone watching into 2 completely different questions depending on which side of 55 you're sitting on. Let me show you which one is you. So here we are. After all the numbers, all the traps, the trapdoor, the housing squeeze, the whole thing comes down to one single word. And it's not 4%. It's not guaranteed. It's your age, your runway, how many years you've actually got. That's it. That's the answer that was hiding under everything. Let me split you into the 2 groups because you genuinely have 2 completely different decisions. If you're under 55, this move is a countdown, not a forever thing. Your OA to SA money only enjoys that 4% until the SA dissolves into your retirement account at 55. So it all depends on your runway. A 44-year-old with a long stretch ahead, no property moves planned, no child about to BTO. Okay, you have a real case. The compounding has enough years to actually mean something. But a 53-year-old eyeing an upgrade or with a kid about to buy a flat, please don't touch that button. Your reward is a nice dinner and your cost is every bit of flexibility we just spent an hour talking about. And if you're 55 or older, here's the thing. You've been asking the wrong question this entire time. Your SA doesn't exist anymore. The OA to SA move isn't even on the table for you. Your real decision, the live one, is whether to top up your retirement account up to the enhanced retirement sum for bigger CPF life payouts later. And that one's actually worth understanding. Topping up to the 2026 ERS of $440,800 aims at roughly $3,440 a month from CPF Life at 65 versus around $1,780 a month at the full retirement sum. That's not a nice dinner. That's the difference between two very different retirements every single month for the rest of your life. So here's the one thing I want you to walk away with before you touch any button. Find yourself on the timeline first. How many years to 55? Any property or BTO plans in the next decade? Will you want to invest or withdraw your OA? Let that decide, not the 4%. Optionality first, rate second, always. Because here's what keeps me up a little. Even if you do the smart thing today and leave your OA completely alone, there's another one-way door waiting for you at 55. The OA to RA decision, the ERS, which CPF life tier to pick. Same 30-second button. Same can't undo it. Except this time, the stakes aren't a nice dinner. They're your monthly income for the next 30 years. And most people walk up to that door knowing even less than they knew about this one. So, stick around. Not because I'm telling you to. Because that next door is coming whether you're ready or not, and I'd much rather you walk up to it knowing exactly where you stand.